Hey everybody, welcome into the Lettermen Lounge at Roosters on Olentangy River Road in Columbus, Ohio, the greatest city in the world. This is Lettermen Live. Spring ball rolling along for the Buckeyes. The spring game is Saturday. We are obviously excited for that. I'm always excited for that one. Jay-Z, Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, Nicole Cox, and our very special guest who's not playing in a spring game for the first time at Ohio State in like 10 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been a while, huh? Yeah.
Jonathon Cooper. And Coop, I tried to get you to come back for one more, but you wouldn't have it.
Oh, my gosh. She tried to come back. I could have came back if I wanted to, but you know I definitely wasn't going to do that. It was time.
He's had his fill. He's gone through pro day. He's been training. He's getting ready. He's doing a little linebacker work. Bob, you have to break that down. Coop, it was a fantastic career to follow. We're honored to have you out for the first time in here. What's the last couple of months been like for you as you are going through your own training and not taking part in this spring camp?
Yeah, the last couple of months have been pretty crazy. You know, after the national championship in Florida, I stayed down there in Florida, went to Fort Lauderdale, trained down there with XPE and Tony Villani, great people. Stayed out there for like 3 months up until about a week before pro day. And it was cool. You know, it was a different type of training. Like instead of football training, you know, trying to beat up your body, you know, they're telling you to rest. You're running fast. You work hard for like 2 reps, and then they're like, all right, take the day off. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, let's get some work in. I'm trying to go off of what Coach Mick taught me. But it was nice, and I think I had a pretty good pro day. I need Bobby Carpenter to help me out with the linebacker drills. Like,
did you go all white like Bob did back in the day at the pro day? The white tights, white skin tight shirt.
I actually barely had anything on.
Is that right? Okay, all right. There you go.
You guys put new meaning into that underwear Olympics out there on pro day.
No doubt about it.
They wouldn't allow us to wear the. Actually, no, there was a couple nice shirts. I was trying to build up as much speed as I could possibly get. You know what I'm saying?
Show off the muscles.
So let me ask you this, Coop, and because this is a very different year, and so just trying to talk to some of these guys about the experience, because you guys are going to have experience that's unlike anyone else that's coming out. You know, talking to your agent, you're training down there, like no combine, like no medicals. Like what did they know? You didn't get the chance to really meet with teams. Like how is that gone? I mean, what's that process all?
Yeah, that was weird. You know, I feel like the NFL combine is something you always look forward to. Is like when you're going to the NFL draft, is experiencing all the lights and people cheering you on and stuff. But the thing that helped me out the most was that Senior Bowl, being able to go down to the Reese Senior Bowl with Jim Nagy. I met with, I think, every single team there for about a solid 15 minutes. Was a great experience. Kind of helped me out also with my draft stock and everything, with going against great guys across the country.
Who were the coaches there? What's two
the Miami Dolphins and the Carolina Panthers.
Who had you?
I had the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Dolphins. Yeah. Who was the D-line coach?
Coach.
I'm sorry to put you on this because B Flow was in New England with me.
I didn't know it was a quiz day.
Well, I mean, I'm just curious, like to see if it was someone that I knew down there. He took a lot of guys from New England off that staff, and so I know they do a good job. They run a tight ship, man.
No, they do. The head coach was great. I mean, the way he got on us, the way practice was handled. I mean, he treated us like we were his own players and stuff. So practices were real. You know, it was like
was it a huge difference from what you were used to with, you know, Ohio State's program? You know, I mean, you've been through Urban, you've been through Coach Day. I mean, was it crazy different? Like, oh man, these guys are, you know, it's up a notch. Or I've seen this.
I don't feel like it could ever go up a notch.
Yeah, okay, that's what I expected. That's kind of what I expected.
With Coach Meyer, you can never go up a notch past him. So, no, it was good though. I had a really good time.
How have things been since pro day? You know, back in the day, it used to be, hey, we're having private workouts, or we're doing this or that.
Right.
You doing Zoom? Are they allowed to call you? Or I mean, how's that whole thing work?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of Zoom calls with teams and stuff. I don't feel like I don't know if we're allowed to do private workouts right now just because of COVID and stuff, especially in the building. But other than that, it's been going good. I've been talking to a lot of teams over Zoom, just kind of getting a feel of where they see me at, how they like me. You know, what position am I going to be playing in the NFL? Just getting ready for those type of things. And for the most part, after pro day, just been working out, training with Coach Mick, and doing some drills with Coach Johnson, and just getting ready for OTAs and rookie minicamp.
Nicole, don't you wish when we were like getting out of college that we got to go train in Florida for 3 weeks for whatever our job.
Oh, is that what happened?
Absolutely.
I didn't get that. I was training in Laramie, Wyoming. So, getting on the job training, we need some of this,
Absolutely. I just try to throw a workout in between, getting everything ready and, work and all of that. So that sounds amazing. But it is interesting to know. I wondered, I was talking to my daughter about like high school practices, how you just dread. They're just so hard. Your coach yelling at you as you're like doing the bleachers, and it's something so different. And you guys make a career out of it about working out, but something becomes different. And it must be this point when you learn you have to take care of your body and you have to rest, or else you'll absolutely, just won't make it.
Yeah, that's definitely something, is the taking care of the body whole part. That's something that I didn't really look into too much when I was in college. But now, I mean, that's all everybody ever talks about. It's just taking care of your body, making sure you're healthy. They say durability is better than ability, so you got to be healthy. You got to be ready to go.
And as you get older, Coop, as I told you when I go work out with you guys, it's not the workout, it's the day after, the recovery. That stuff takes longer and longer and longer because time is undefeated. Since you're down there taking care of your body, just curious question. I mean, did you get some massages down there? I mean, number of massage therapists you had? I mean, what's that? What was that?
Count on one hand, or was it?
I had some great massages down there.
It's not that kind of show. JC, I wasn't talking about going to get physical training. My job is different.
No, I know.
Come on.
I'm just.
And speaking of which, Appetizer Tuesday.
Tuesday. Cheesy fries.
Cheesy bacon fries on Tuesday. Those are $2 tomorrow. Make sure to get those. It's a busy time of Roosters. That patio is open. A little bit chillier on Monday morning when I was out there. Bob for another practice, by the way. So wound up with 3 of them. I think that's all because of you, just talking about it on this show. And Ohio State's going to get in that full spring that Coop was part of last year. Missed it. It was a big deal. So what we do, Jonathan, here is we pick out some Buckeye leaves, and if we're doing it before a game, which is the spring game this week, we're talking about some guys who we think need to have big performances on Saturday, someone that you'll be watching. Nicole, though, is first because she is the most important part of the show. She's got some notes about who she's looking for. Saturday at noon in the Horseshoe, about 20,000 fans will be there.
Yes, which is amazing. I'm so glad they're having fans. I'm glad they opened it up to, hospital workers and first responders. I think it'll be a really great atmosphere in there. I'm bummed I'm going to miss it. But after a lot of thought, I think Tyreek Johnson, I'm very interested to see with 7 and Cam being out. Just, he might just be a late bloomer. I know he was very highly recruited, and I look at those guys like, this is your time. I really think that he could shine if he can do well. The spotlight's going to be on him. And you said today he broke up 2 passes at practice, which is great. Yep. And so he's a senior, and I have high hopes for him. So I'm excited to see how he does on Saturday.
Yeah, and these spring games, as you guys know, they're showcases for the quarterbacks and receivers and defensive backs, not so much for the defensive line generally, because you're just tapping a quarterback on the helmet. And,
literally can't touch him at all.
So they argue about that. But as you say, without 2 guys who you think are going to be starting in Seven Banks and Cameron Brown, Legend Cavasso's been a little bit banged up. I'm not sure how much he will play on Saturday, although that does depend on what Ryan Day wants to do with how much they'll tackle, if they're going to thud. Because if you take that away, maybe they can play a little bit more 7-on-7. We'll see. But Ryan Watts there, again, another guy to look at corner. Bob, where do you have the attention on Saturday?
It's interesting because usually during the spring, like the lines, especially in the spring game. Now during the spring practices, Coop will tell you, those guys get after it up front, and you're replacing some guys on the defensive side of the ball, and you've got some guys you're shuffling around a little bit on the offensive side to kind of figure out that I guess best fit of where these guys are going to play. And so I wouldn't also anticipate, some of the Thayer Mumford, he's probably almost Coop's age. He's not. They're not going to play him a ton, and so you're going to be able to get to see some of these younger guys go. And so I'm excited. I like the Central Ohio guys to go. So the battles, offensive line, to see how far Zach has come on the defensive side, and then also Jack Sawyer. These 2 guys. That someone's got to replace all the production that's going to be walking out the door. So to see these young guys
out the door, he's sitting right here.
Exactly. You're not completely done until you're drafted and gone away. He's still around a little bit now, but it's those guys they're physically, and you can talk about this, the physical maturity up front. Jack and people like him a lot, but Zach Harrison, same thing. Guy comes in, you're just really raw. You're big and you're fast, but you're not man big yet to be able to take on. Like,
it's a difference.
You laugh about that, but it's
there's
real.
a difference. He knows.
There's a difference.
It's real. So, like, I remember going to my springs, like, getting manhandled by these guys your freshman year. And so,
You got manhandled?
yeah, I'm telling you, because
I can't never see that, Bobby.
You couldn't imagine that.
He got rid of all that film. Why? He's in the Woody
Can't
enough.
look up that
He
much,
knows.
Does he not tell those stories when he's in there working out in the facility?
Here's the thing.
Never heard that.
Back in the day, we used to have tight ends that were 270 pounds that were just meatball blockers like Ben Hartsock.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't guys that are glorified receivers now that are running around that are just trying to like, get in your way and throw a shoulder on you. And so we used to just run power 48 different times, 48 different ways during practice. And I mean, I've never done any stuff like that before against guys like that. So you get these dudes have been in the program for 2-3 years. They grab you like, oh gosh, like hands are so
I can't do anything.
Hands are so strong. What am I supposed to do with this? And so I just went curious, Zach, Zach, you've watched him kind of make that jump physically and seen it. Jack Sawyer, Coach Johnson's really high on him to see what he can do and to see if he's a little more advanced and maybe not playing for a year and maybe lifting is better versus not. But it's such a weird year where some of these guys didn't even play in the fall. This is their first experience.
All right. So you're jumping on the defensive line to watch.
Yeah.
I know that Coop's probably picking somebody there. Where else are you going to watch on Saturday, Coop?
Well, he knows some of these young guys, so
Well,
I mean, exactly like who are you excited to see? Like, man, this kid's
You
gonna
trying to cheat off of him?
Well,
No.
I should have talked to him before.
No, but definitely,
yeah.
some of the like Bobby said, Jack Sawyer. I mean, I've been hearing so many good things about him when I talk to the players on the D line and stuff. They say he's good. He's raw. And I mean, you always root for a Central Columbus kid, so I'm definitely looking for him. If there's anybody else, I'll curious to see. It'll be a quarterback. CJ. I want to see how he does, and then also that freshman running back who just got his black stripe off.
Travion Henderson.
Yeah, they say he's good.
Yeah.
He's really good. So,
So did Pryor lose his black stripe too?
Not
Or
yet.
Not yet. But those are the two guys there in that room, huh?
So yeah, I'm looking for that. I just want to see, because like you said, the old guys don't play so much on the spring, especially when you're established and you're going to play. But that's for those young guys to shine, and if that running back or Jack and you see a lot more of them get after, especially because we didn't have a spring game last year. We get to see these young guys shine, and I'm looking forward. I'm gonna be there, so
Nice.
We'll see what's going on.
Well, I got a question for you. Last spring we were all excited about these young freshmen coming in, these young wide receivers and quarterbacks. We didn't get to see any of them, of course. You did in practice, though, in the fall. So I mean, you threw out Stroud's name. Jack Miller.
Yeah.
What did you see from those guys last year? I look at it as Olave came back because he said, "Man, those guys can sling the rock."
Yeah.
I don't think he made that decision come back saying, "Man, we don't have somebody there." So I think he trusts whatever. I mean, just give us your take on those two guys, what you saw last year in their limited roles in practice. I mean, what you think about those two guys?
Yeah, well, first I'll go with Jack Miller. Jack Miller is a really good quarterback. He knows how to sit in the pocket. Obviously, I feel like being under a guy like Justin Fields, you get to learn a lot. But he surprises you with his feet. People don't really see him too much as a runner, but on a zone read, sometimes he even got me. So he's pretty.
So he must be good.
Pretty solid. But then CJ, really looking forward to see what he does. Been hearing a lot of people talk well about him, and I feel like if anybody's going to really break out and like show like a new established quarterback who's really ready for the big-time games and those big-time moments Ohio State always has. I wonder if CJ is really up to that challenge. I'm curious to see how he slings it on Saturday and see what he does.
All right, I like that. I was going to focus on – he basically has my answer.
I knew you were going to.
Because I'm excited to see – everybody's excited to see these guys. And,
you want Nicole's notebook too?
We've been we've been a year and a half without really seeing much of them. It just sucks that it's coming on a spring game because – you got makeshift offensive lines. Everybody's gonna at least when we did it back in the day, it was a draft.
Yeah.
You had the offensive line that you had, and it might be 4 walk-ons and somebody else, but that's who you have blocking for you. So I wish it wasn't in that instance. If that's how they're doing it, I don't know if that's how they break it up, but it's just going to be fun to see them get back there, see what they look like in the pocket, see how they deliver the ball, see what their ball has on it. If they're making that right read quick or they're holding on a little bit long. It's going to be fun to be able to just see where they're at. I don't think we've really had a chance to gauge, where exactly they are in this offense, how they understand it, that sort of thing. And game time, atmospheres, we'll bring that out of them. And I'm looking forward to just seeing that. And they got tons of weapons all over the place, to throw to. So, we know that. We just got to see what these young guys have in them. And I think Saturday will be a good test.
Well, and one of the things Ryan did touch on that today, I think they are going to kind of do a little scarlet gray.
Okay.
I don't know if they were. It sounded like they may be kind of splitting the position groups and letting guys go, one side or the other.
Okay.
But then he said he think they'll probably have a controlled session as well afterwards.
That makes more sense.
Which to get a realistic look, because playing quarterback, if you've got you can't block anybody up front, it's
not a fun day.
I don't care.
And back in the day when we played, they let them hit quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I got knocked out of my very first jersey scrimmage by Jay Richardson. As I'm throwing the ball, I get jacked up under my arm, and I was done for the rest of camp.
I feel like whoever's back there actually slinging the ball, they got to feel pretty good with your two tackles that you have.
Well,
Nick
right.
Petit and Thayer. I mean, you saw how well they did last year, and they're only coming back another year to do it again. So
There's a Maslin kid. We know how to do it up that way.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I'm an alumni. Got to root for my guy.
Always got to find a way to get Maslin.
Even though he's from Cincy, but we won't talk about that.
Nicole, anything else that you have in there before you go back to your day job?
I think that's everything.
Did we mess up not getting you a credential on Saturday? How?
I know. I was just thinking
It
about it.
sounded like she was a little mad when she said, "Well, I'm not going to be there."
Boy, that sounds like
That's
it's on
okay,
me.
guys. No, not for a second. No, I'm excited to hear, like you said, the young guys just seeing, we just didn't get to see enough last year. So I think hopefully this will kind of feel normal too with fans in there. I think that's a big part of it as well.
Oh, and you don't have any non-conference games. Like, it was just such a weird year, as Coop can speak to. Like, you don't get a chance to let those guys play early on in the season, and then some of the games it's just disheveled because you've got 6 guys at a group out, and you're trying to just find a way to get a win and look functional doing that, because it's a beauty contest too. So there's a lot of things going on. And in one group we didn't really talk about because I think they're veteran guys, but as we talked, the guys who are established starters, they'll probably get a series or two, maybe. Lave's not playing much. Garrett Wilson's probably not going to play much. You'll probably see a little more J-Mo Williams, but some of these younger guys, the younger receivers, seeing what they can do. You got a little taste of it last year, especially against a secondary that's a little bit more banged up. It could be a pretty nice day for those guys.
I feel like people last year don't really talk about how crazy it was with not having a spring and actually like going through COVID and then having to come back and getting a season. Oh no, your season's gone, or oh, we have a schedule now, and oh, now you don't have a schedule. That craziness, and then even the games getting canceled during the season. I don't think people really understand like everything that went on in the locker room and in the facility just to even be able to get to a national championship.
Yeah.
It was crazy, and for that to be my last year, it was kind of like,
well,
you could have had another one.
Yeah, you could have had a normal one.
You really want me to come back?
The deadline has passed, okay, Bob? I already tried. I failed. We're going to bring in Berm. He tried hard, too. He's gone, okay? He's going to the NFL.
I was hoping Hilliard would come back for an unprecedented 7th year.
No way.
7th season.
No way you were thinking Justin was going to come back.
I wanted him to, simply for the fact
just hope for another COVID year, he might get to 10.
Here's the
just
deal.
keep going.
Right now, Ohio State does need some help at linebacker.
Yeah.
They could have moved Coop to outside linebacker and brought Justin Hilliard
Hey.
back, and then suddenly you have that problem solved. We'll work through all the rest of Ohio State's problems and not problems for the rest of spring when we take a quick break. When we let Nicole out of here, we're going to bring in Berm for a rare Letterman Live appearance. We're going to find out what he did with the signs a couple weeks ago when the show rolls along here. Live from Roosters, this is Letterman Live.
Roosters is one of the unique companies that we deal with. They're involved in everything we do, from our personal foundation to also the Cancer Research Fund. And that's from the Buckeye Cruise from Cancer to all the events leading up to the Buckeye Cruise.
They donate back to different organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long, long time.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
All right, welcome back to Letterman Live. We have lost Nicole Cox. That's going to be tough to overcome. But
we got considerably uglier.
Berm is now in. Berm stepped in a couple of weeks ago for me when I was gone. Thought that was maybe an upgrade, but no.
Yeah, we find out that it was
What happened? He tried to blame you, Bob.
It's not trying to blame him. This is what happened.
signs
The
that
show
he saw.
ended. Bob put him right back up there. There was a thief in our midst, clearly, here at Roosters at some juncture. Because
Well, I mean,
Bob put
my
him
8 by
right back
10
up
is
there.
gone too, so maybe there is a thief.
I couldn't even reach up that high if I wanted to. I'd need to get on a ladder.
Yeah, well,
See? All right.
there's got to be cameras in here somewhere.
You blew your opportunity. Bro,
Solved.
is what Austin's saying.
Solved.
You can come back and you can talk to Jonathon Cooper. You can hang out with Bobby, but you can't sit in my seat anymore because I don't know what
Got
you
no
would steal
signs.
next. You could steal Jay-Z's photo.
I know.
Now Bobby's got an autograph
Jay-Z.
up there on the wall. I don't know what.
He's hating the Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
That's what's it's throwing him.
It is.
Yeah.
Got Jay-Z, JC. Totally.
Got it all.
Got Jay-Z and this Beyonce over here serving wings.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can dig into those, Coop. I don't know
Yeah,
what
you're allowed
flavor
to
do you
eat
get
on
here.
the
Yeah, what's your flavor? What's your flavor?
Carolina Gold.
Carolina Gold. Okay.
Always the way to go.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I should go with mild. You know, mild.
I've been doing hot garlic. It's pretty good.
Hot garlic.
Mhm.
You know, that's bad for later.
Well, you know, sometimes when you get my age, it just is part of life.
It's just-
I mean, that's just
go-
anything
just
you
go
eat.
through it.
Yeah, anything you eat, you just go.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Berm, who do you want to see on Saturday?
I mean, I think obviously, as you guys said in the previous segment, the quarterbacks are the big thing. But I really want to see Julian Fleming, if he's healthy enough to get out there and run around. Physically, I just think he's got the ability to be that much different than any of the other receivers do. All the pre-season hype, pre-springs hype already around Marvin Harrison Jr. is pretty exciting. Obviously, I always come at it from a, more recently recruited standpoint, just because that's what I pay more attention to. But on the other side, I want to see Cody Simon. I think that he is in a position right now to really cement himself as a starter with the way the linebacker situation is set up. And I want to see Cam Martinez because.
Oh, really? That's new.
Because he's my guy.
You love Cameron Martinez?
Cam is someone that is obviously having an opportunity right now to play a lot with the cornerback situation being a little bit hit and miss. And sometimes all you need is an opportunity. The spring game, as Bobby, you guys remember Bam Childress, right? I mean,
Oh, bam. I threw him like 4 touchdowns in one game.
I'm going to be honest with you. So every morning
He
on
was
my
my
radio
number
show,
one receiver.
radio show, we throw out there famous birthdays. Bam Childress, on whatever birthday it was like in the last month and a half, he's on Wikipedia for his birthday. Some of the guys, Justin Fields, not on there yet. Other notable players.
Bam
So what
Childress.
you're saying, a spring game can really catapult you to another
As
level.
I look back on the spring game, there's 2 names that always stand out to me. It's Bam Childress and Torian Washington.
Yeah.
And those two, they always had like huge spring games. Everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's it's finally his year," and like it's been the Demario McCall show the last few years.
No.
And those are obviously a lot of guys I want to watch, but those 3 that I mentioned.
Let me let you on a little secret though.
I
when
love
it,
secrets.
when it comes to that. Those guys, you'll start talking about offensive weapon guys, and so you start looking at how the game goes and the attrition that's on the back end. And there are some guys out there that are going at, which is a severe athletic mismatch. And so that's why some of those guys are able to have these massive. They're great athletes, and you put them in space against guys who are play like 80 reps, and will probably never really see much game time in the
all the
shooting
walk-ons that
season.
get to play in the spring
And
game.
you're like, these dudes don't have a chance. They literally don't have a chance. Like, and I almost feel bad. I'm watching guys like, oh gosh, we'd see the matchup coming from the sideline. I'm like, your guy bailing, a guy like Ice Doherty, coming down there. And we've got it's my man Ice. I love him, but it was like, oh gosh, this is not going to end well. Like, I know how this book goes. I've read this thing.
Oh man.
Every day in practice.
So that's what I was going to ask you 3 who've been through this, because Jay-Z gave me some crap last year. Like, why do you get so excited for spring? Like, there's no real game. I'm like, well, it's football for one, and I need this information for the rest of the year for 2. So when you get to the spring game, I've heard the 3 of you and other guys before talk about, well, those other 14 practices, those are the intense ones. That's when a lot of the work is done. Ohio State had a scrimmage on Saturday. That's probably, the most important one that they will evaluate from the spring. So when you get to April 17th and you're on the roster, like, what does it mean to the veteran Buckeyes? What is it like? How do you guys treat a spring game? What's the mentality on a Saturday like that?
Ask him. He's
A veteran guy on the spring game.
You're just chilling over there, like
You're excited for spring on the oval. That's what you're excited
I mean,
for.
it's like you said, the 14 practices beforehand are where the real work happens, like where people don't really see. That's where you're getting graded, coached. That's where 1v1s is really like getting after it. Like, okay, this is game time reps. The spring game for a guy like me is like we just out here to just show face, and just you do your right technique and you go hard, you know, because you want to compete. But for the most part, you just get hyped for the young guys to go out there and do something.
Well, too, and the one other thing, he's been part of these like spring games that are now made for TV, wrapped up and boxed in like 90 minutes to 2 hours. And so they run continuous clock in the second half. You know, they've got Cardell Jones is some sort of carny out there throwing the ball around the players. I mean, it's like it's all like entertainment.
It's like a show.
You guys used to have like 4.5 hour long games.
We used to have a full
serious game,
4 15-minute
really,
quarters.
Like everybody like banging, like hitting.
Oh yeah,
roster split up, so it wasn't.
You have a draft.
They'd be like, Coop, you got 3 DNs on your team.
Yeah.
And like that's what you'd be a freshman, and like they pull the starter out, and you're a freshman. You're like,
play
dude,
everything.
And you're playing special teams because we're kicking too.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh,
dude, you got
the real deal. It was terrible.
That's not the experience that I had.
Yeah.
My freshman year, maybe, but because I felt like I was getting a lot of reps, but I was also a freshman. But as of recently, it's like, you know, coach, put me in for at least like 3 series and take me out.
And then it's just hang out with Nick and Joey Bosa or whoever else.
Whoever just came down and just like, hey, let's kick it.
And then you guys have had pretty good weather for most of your spring games, correct? Yeah.
Great weather.
Remember
every single time.
04?
The 04 spring game,
It snowed, sleet.
Oh, it was about
wind.
45 degrees.
45 degrees, and y'all playing
Full
miserable.
deal.
Yeah.
That's the one game that I wanted to say. Then Tress, he was one of my senior. They tried to take us out. I'm like, no. I'm not standing over here now. You made me get all dressed up. Like, I'm running around. Like,
let's go
game.
play.
When it's 90 degrees, you're going to leave me in there the whole time. I'm not letting you take me out this day.
Yeah, we had some bad ones. But yeah, it was weird. So it is different. I mean, I think we went one-on-ones. We had our jersey scrimmage the week before the spring game, which was always like our big, you got graded on hardcore ones versus ones, twos, everybody down the line. You went against your own competition. That was the big one. Spring game was just more, hey, we're done with spring ball.
Literally, that's where people look at it as. It's like, okay, we put in all this work, and then you got these fans and everybody out there.
It's fun to go to the shoe and put the cool uniform on.
You feel good and stuff, and you compete because you want to look good. You don't want to ever look bad whenever you showcase yourself. But as far as a full-on game, that's practice.
Yeah, I think that's the tough part.
And we had to walk uphill to the stadium both ways back in our day.
No bus from the Woody over there.
No.
I think
the losing team did have to walk.
On the jersey scrimmage, losing team had to walk back.
That still happens. They still got to walk back.
Eat some hot dogs as opposed to steak. But the fact that, so little, we've had 3 viewing periods during spring camp. Today was 6 of them. But we're not, they were in spider pads. They didn't hit. We haven't seen them do any of that live stuff. So that's the one day where, you're going to have 20,000 fans. There's normally way more than that in the Horseshoe. They're making opinions. Ours might be slightly more informed because of what we get to see, but it's still just a small slice of what you did over 15 practices or any of the practices that you guys had last year or for 3 years, Coop. So, we probably wind up making way too much of it. And the most recent example of that, Berm, was Justin Fields in his first spring game, and I don't know what he finished.
4 of 13.
4 of 13. And it's the one big throw to Ben Victor, and it's like, boy, I don't know.
Georgia fans fans were immediately on the tweeter. Oh, boy.
In all fairness to Justin, though, he got a lot better. It wasn't that he played terrible. He didn't play terrible that day, but he wasn't as good as he is now. It wasn't like he just had the worst day in the world. You can tell, he used to spray balls sometimes in practice. It wasn't the guy that you see going out there now on the routes on air just throwing darts.
He's definitely got a lot, but I feel like people don't. That summer program with Coach Mencken and also fall camp, those months in between the first game, you can get significantly a lot better rather than, over one thing in Saturday. Some guys, don't show up in the spring game and you're like, oh, man, I expected a lot better from him. And then the season comes and they're balling out. You're like, where was this? Right. And then it's those months in between, you can get a lot better.
Berm, did you make too much out of Justin Fields then?
No. No, I didn't.
It worked out for everybody.
Turned out pretty well.
I think you were really concerned when Matthew Baldwin transferred.
I know you were concerned when Matthew Baldwin transferred. He's your homeboy.
He is my homeboy. I like Matthew Baldwin.
I like Matthew Baldwin too, but there was a major difference between Justin Fields going forward.
I didn't say that he should start over Justin Fields.
Everyone here heard him say that, right? We're going to edit that.
You said that?
Folks.
I did not say
over Justin?
Everyone heard it. He just said he should start over Justin Fields. Everyone heard it, right?
Oh, wow.
What is happening?
They heard it now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be the headline.
It's coming out of his
Austin Ward says Baldwin should have started over. They had to beat Alabama. That's what he said. Under his breath.
No, here's what I want to know.
not coming back to Lettermen. This is the last one.
Here's what I want to know. Coop, for someone like you, right? As the leader of the team, how much do you guys put into the stock of how these young guys come out and not just play on Saturday, but prepare? Like, I mean, do you form opinions immediately about kids as soon as they're like the early enrollees? How hard is it to not do that?
It's hard not to, but you always look at, somebody like a freshman coming in here and be like, I was in that position one time. You try to relate back to, I was in those shoes. I was a point in time where I didn't really get it. So you do make opinions, and you can see potential pretty early if you're like a veteran guy. You're like, okay, this guy has potential. Once he gets it, then he's going to be good. But it's that getting it part. There's some players who just sometimes never get it, and you can't really explain what that it is. I think you know what I'm talking about. Like, just, like once you get it and you understand, and you playing football rather than you're going from like a high school transition to college, then you become a really good player. And you can see the potential in young guys early, but if they don't build on that and develop that, then.
So now you don't have to sugarcoat things. So I want to be clear, because you're no longer, you don't have to be. I know, but I don't
when
want
did he ever do that?
No, here's the thing. I'm going to ask, the next question is, in those 3 spring practices you got to see last year, of the, 13 early enrollees from last year, who is the guy that you were like, that dude gets it?
I mean, that was like a year ago. Do
you remember everything he went through from last March
Jonathon
to
Cooper,
now?
he didn't do anything.
You just described having his spring canceled, no spring game. They took away his.
I didn't practice in those 3 spring practices though. I was still messing with my ankle and stuff. But
he was just standing around.
No, I was looking at guys. The guy who got it, I feel like the most was Zach. Zach started to really get things, and Tyreek. I feel like Tyreek. When he's healthy and he's good, he's really starting to like come into himself and be the defensive end that everybody sees that he could be. And then Zach was just starting to get it, but now, I mean, from what I've seen from him, I expect very, very highly of him.
He seems like a different person.
He is.
Not just a different player, but
completely
just seeing him on the Zoom calls that we're doing.
Yeah.
When Zach was being recruited, for you guys that weren't, he did not talk to anybody. Like, he was not a confident kid. He had no sense of what he was actually going to be able to turn into, because he was just a big athlete who didn't know how to play football. And so it's really just cool to see. He didn't know how to play football. He was just a big dude who could run really fast.
Yeah.
And it's really awesome to see, and this is why Zach ultimately picked Ohio State, was to work with Larry Johnson, because that opportunity is so rare, because there are so few college coaches that can actually help you become a better player.
Yeah. I feel like I helped him.
Well, obviously.
Definitely. You ask Zach, you call him up, ask him, what did Coop do for you?
You guys,
He'll tell you. He'll tell you, huh?
The parallels are uncanny.
It's kind of funny, yeah. No, but he's going to be better than me, though. He's so raw. Like, he's 6. Who's 6'6" and runs a 4.5? Like, Are you kidding me? Like 260 and you're running a 4.5. I mean, he's just so raw. You don't see athletes like that every day. So, I'm expecting a lot from him this year.
No, he can cruise. Let me ask you this, Coop, since you brought up the training and everything, and between the spring and then obviously the start of summer camp. You had an abbreviated summer last year, not your traditional stuff. And for the guys who maybe people don't understand this, just being around the team up north period and all those things, like at the end of practice or at the end of lifting, I mean, that's kind of what builds those leadership groups, and not to have that the summer last year. I mean, but you guys had some established leaders, but this year you're gone. Justin's got like a lot of these positions, all the linebackers, a lot of the vocal position groups. They didn't have that in this winter, where they're trying to do like half a group here and half a group there. Like, how tough is that when you don't have those bonding agents, that Coach Mick loves to really put on you guys?
Yeah, I think it's really hard, actually, because, winter workouts and those Team of North periods are really what makes you together as a team, and you got your leaders who step up and stand out. And, I mean, those are the first type of things that made me kind of a leader. It was like going through those winter workouts and seeing how hard I go, and everybody's looking at me, and I'm like cheering my guys on, and we're yelling, let's beat the Team of North, all this type of stuff. So it's hard if you don't have that. I feel like you try to force that in the team, so that somebody finally becomes like, okay, I'm going to be the leader this year, but it's hard if you don't naturally have that,
Well, and you don't have a bunch of opportunities to be in front of everybody at one time saying, hey, I'm your guy. Follow me. Come on, let's go. Because you're in so
If you're wondering why this guy played through an ankle injury 2 years ago when he had the pick, try and go to the playoff or play in the rivalry game, probably that F-bomb should tell you that the blood started flowing instantly when he thought about what was happening.
I did start getting going pretty much.
I just saw that food going onto the floor as he stood up and flipped it.
And then they took one away from you last year.
Oh, my gosh, man. That week. Oh, bro.
When did you
guys
know?
Some words that I probably can't say on here, but I mean, seriously though, those they really pissed me off with that one. Like, come on, man. Like, you know how much the rivalry means. We knew. I'm walking into practice upstairs. I remember exactly. I'm walking into practice upstairs trying to get some food for like a Tuesday practice, and like. Before anybody ever told me, the headline on like ESPN or Sports Center headline was like, Michigan opts out or doesn't play in the game or whatever. I'm reading this like, what the f- is this? Like, what is this? And then I start talking to my teammates and stuff. I'm like, do you guys see like what's going on here? And they're like, oh my gosh, that must have just came out.
We were on a Zoom call with Justin Hilliard, and one of the other media guys was like, oh, hey, Justin, just so you know, the game's canceled.
Really?
And he was like, what?
Yeah.
Well, somebody asked him about it, like, what would be your reaction? I just like jumped off of mute and like, Justin, they just canceled the games. Like, and like that's his, 6th year senior year.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
That's how he found out.
Oh, gold pants.
6 pairs of gold pants.
I mean,
good at 7th this year.
Yeah,
that's
that was.
That's why
rough.
Demario came back.
He loves gold pants.
You guys know what Demario's doing now?
Playing DB?
Yeah. What do you guys think of that?
Have you seen him? Have you seen him play at all?
I have a little bit.
So what do you think about that?
Hey, he's an athlete.
All right, yeah, I like it. Hey,
he can. What is your guys' opinion? Like Berm said, we're not holding back here.
See, I mean, you gotta see it happen.
It's taken 5 years to try to find a role, right?
Right.
And so if this is the next iteration of that attempt, more power to him. I didn't see him out there this morning. I don't know where he was this morning. There's a little bug going around the team. So we didn't really get to see him in those drills that we would have seen him today. But
a bug that isn't COVID, by the way.
Right.
You shouldn't just like dance around it.
Well, I mean,
a bug.
If it was that
COVID?
Well, he wasn't out there this morning, so I don't know. I mean, I think that, again, when you're talking about opportunity, it's here. There's a major need at corner.
There is.
He is a very good athlete. He just doesn't fit into the offense and hasn't been able to fit into the offense with the way that it's evolved over the last few years. So
he's such a good athlete, though.
He's a much better athlete than we get to see because he doesn't fit into the offense.
How big is he?
It's 5.
About Spencer size.
He's not that big.
He's a Spencer.
No.
He's 5'8".
So he'd be a small corner. Right?
He's a small corner.
Yeah, but you could probably
decent.
play him in the slot and play him like he's very quick. I mean, he's slightly quick,
no doubt. He's a crazy athlete.
He's roughly
Just
the same size as Marcus Williamson and probably a little quicker.
He's probably a little bigger. He's a little bigger than Marcus Williams.
Is he? Okay.
But
Well, hopefully you can find.
But Izzy is tough because Marcus Williams is from Westerville South. So
and we come from the offensive side. We're not
Central Ohio. Come on, man.
Our offensive guys don't like hitting as much as you crazy defensive guys. So that switch has got to be a little different for him.
I know we're going off the rails.
When Berm says that the opportunity is now, Spencer was looking. We were talking about this like 2 weeks ago. I've written that the opportunity was now for Demario McCall for 4 years in a row.
Yeah, but now the opportunity's now on defense.
It doesn't exist. And it's
totally different.
And the most frustrating thing to me about this entire program, the one that I cannot understand, is why Demario has continued to have a role on special teams when he has wasted it so many times in a row and in really bad spots, fumbling kickoffs and whatnot.
And he's so good, though.
You know who I like?
That's what I've heard that from
so
a bunch of
good.
you guys that see him in practice and know him on a day-to-day basis. Like, Evan Spencer would come in and he'd go to practice and be like, he's got to get the ball. Like, he's an amazing athlete. And like,
that's his
it never
nickname.
works.
Give him the ball, McCall.
But it never works.
So are there just some guys who are just practice dudes and not game day players?
I wouldn't say that because in 2018, when we had a bad game against Maryland, he had that crazy kickoff return.
That's true.
I remember that. I'm gonna give him.
You're
I'm gonna
going to
give
talk
my
about
guy.
okay. Try and talk me down off the ledge, Coop. That's all right.
You know who I want to see returning kicks? Cam Martinez.
This guy. This guy.
How does that? Out of everyone you could pick on the roster,
Cam Martinez.
he's the only one.
I can't wait to see Cam returning kicks.
Cameron Martinez, which he's a great guy. When we went up and helped him with his commitment.
Cam's senior year highlight tape is 9 minutes of nothing but touchdowns. It's 9 straight minutes of touchdowns.
Travion Henderson's is 15 minutes.
I've watched every minute, and I watch it every day. It's like
And I watch it every day.
it's like my daily affirmation. I wake up in the morning, and instead of
Cam Martinez.
That's how he gets going.
instead of the
It gets the people going.
Bob, are you going to let this go? You got nothing for that?
No, man, I mean, if you're gonna, hey, I mean, Schlegs talked about this in Jacksonville, dude on dude accountability. I mean, Burn must have some sort of man crush right there.
Same thing with
Cam
Coop.
Martinez.
I was the same way with Coop.
You are my guy.
These kids they're just good kids, man. And you got to
Some are
root for
showers and
Great-
some are growers.
Good kid.
Got to root for them. You're one of the best kids.
Thank you,
You're one of the
man.
best.
Great family.
Talks well about
Yeah.
him.
I mean,
Best family I've ever been around.
Best family. Great family. Go full Coach Meyer on him. Great family. Tough.
Not-
one of my all-time
Not good.
favorites.
Great.
Great.
Great
Elite
family.
Elite family.
I appreciate that.
elite background. Yeah.
It's been great to have
There you go.
Jonathan Cooper out
We're
here.
not done. I got
Yeah,
okay,
we are.
bye.
I
Yeah.
got 2 questions I got to ask.
Well, you can do that off the air.
So here's the first one. So we had
Tim,
we
get
had
down
a,
here.
we had
What's-
we had a question of the day on our site a few weeks ago, and the question was, which player from the 2019 defense could have made the biggest impact to change the Alabama game of the guys that were gone? Fuller, Okudah, Chase. Who do you think would have been the biggest help?
Or the obvious answer,
Or-
Damon Arnett.
Or Damon Arnett? Right.
For the Alabama game?
Yeah. Who? Not that it would have changed the game.
Between Jordan, Okudah, and
Coop, there's
Okudah.
one.
Well, you could also have Jay Sean Cornell or
I said that.
Devon Hamilton.
Yeah, I could come back and have Devon, but I mean, honestly, Okudah and Rico. I mean,
Yeah, but if you have Chase, maybe he doesn't get the ball off, right?
I played in that game.
Okay. Okay. Hey, you got 2 instead of 1. I mean,
Hey, so I kept pressuring. I was right there on him, man.
yeah.
Kept hitting
I'm just
him.
saying, you
You
got
exactly
2 guys.
I
That's
hit
why.
him one time, and Mac was like, "Hey, man, that was a good hit." And I think Devontae just scored a touchdown. I was like, "Man, f- you, Mac." The heck?
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't play in that game.
I did not mean that. Give me a break. Everybody knew you played in that game. I'm just saying, if you're going to throw Chase on the other side, that wouldn't be terrible.
This is one of the best episodes we've ever
Okay,
had.
so second question is, and I asked you about this before we started, do you have a guy that you want to be the next to wear the block 0?
I asked him this
I want to
on
know.
Buck IQ, so they can go
Well,
on.
now we're expanding the audience. I want to know
the guy who I wanted to
who
wear
you
the
want it
block
to
O.
be, and do you feel like Ryan Day should call you and say, Coop, who do you think it should be?
I don't think. No, that's not my thing. I don't have to. He doesn't have to call me and ask me. It's his
Text
team
you?
and stuff. Well, he can send me a text here and there. But I feel like the guy I would want him to give it to is either Chris Olave or Thayer Mumford, because I feel like they've just been a part of the team. They know what to do, even if they don't wear the block O like I did. Just for them to get that honor though, and to kind of experience what it's all about. Because honestly, it was an honor for me to get that last year. It meant a lot to me. It probably is one of the top things in my whole entire career at Ohio State that I'll remember forever. But yeah, just to get that honor, I feel like either between Chris or Thayer, because they've been through, they know how the process is. They've been through tough times. They're leaders. I feel like either one of those two would be great.
Yeah, Thayer can't wear it, so he would have to get one of the patches. You had that option to do that if you wanted to as well. So he would have to. Chris could do it, and I know that he's got his CO2 branding, but he could at least be COO.
It'd be CO squared. It's still CO2.
Still CO2,
Yeah.
so that would work. But then you lose it from the Rushman Coop. I know that you wanted to keep it there as long as possible.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
Haskell Garrett, maybe.
Haskell the Rascal.
Haskell the Rascal.
I don't know if that block O will look so good on a defensive tackle.
He's kind of big,
just like a little target. This has been the best episode of Letterman Live ever.
Strive for greatness here.
I think we all
Letterman Lounge.
all got
developed here.
We all got developed, got through some adversity. Except Bobby. He didn't take any shots. He never does. He just sits over here and runs.
Coop's my guy, man. I've watched him since he was like 15 years old play football.
Dude on dude accountability.
Yeah.
Sure.
True. I remember playing against Lancaster.
That's
That's the first time I think I met him.
That's what I told.
Did you win or lose?
They beat us.
Won.
I remember especially your senior up there, because no defensive end wants to play against a wing tee. I'm like, Coop, and you play an outside, but you're end of a line, dude. All you're doing is taking on kick out blocks from guards, like just nonsense all game. And I'm like, a lot of guys would have probably shut it down if like not. Coop battled through it. I'm like, if nothing else, this dude will play eventually here just because he's tough.
Yeah.
Like, and that's nothing else. And then I ran with him, and he had to get a little more in shape, and we had to work on his physicality. But he was just a young pup, and now he's like a fully grown dude. So
Fully
I'm proud
grown,
of
man.
him.
I had one solid year at Ohio State, pretty good. It took me a while, but I had a good year.
1 out of 10.
Gotta
ain't
stay
bad.
healthy.
That feels
I
like
appreciate you. Thank
Hey,
you, bro.
we've actually had a great time having you out here. We'll just
Yes.
not allow berm next time. Bobby Carpenter, Nicole Cox, Justin Zwick, Jay-Z. I am just Austin Ward. This has been Letterman Live. It's brought to you by Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. Come here for Appetizer Tuesday. Come hang out if you can't get in the Horseshoe on Saturday. Spring game is coming. Full coverage will be at lettermenrow.com. We will see you there. Bye.